Hi everybody, welcome to Seafood Strategy. Elevate every move, scale beyond. Our topic of discussion today: get high performance strategies for professional growth. Your go-to podcast on tech, cybersecurity, strategy, and growth. I am Prem Kumar, yes, your host today, and we will be exploring high performance strategies. A special welcome to all from Power of Knowing Forum on our weekly podcast, our episode 264th live on LinkedIn. We are honored to have Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh, CFO turned business leader and coach, enabling high performance growth and profits, independent director on corporate boards, global speaker, bestseller, and an author joining us today on our podcast. Let's welcome our esteemed speaker to our podcast and dive into the topic. Hi, Sangeeta. Welcome to our podcast. How are you
Hi,
today?
Prem. Thank you. Thank you so much for the invite and the great setup and everything. I'm really impressed. Thank you so much for the invite.
Welcome. Sangeeta, for the benefit of the audience, a small intro about yourself, your journey so far, and we would like to start with there as this podcast, Sangeeta.
Sure,
Over to you.
sure. So I'm a Yes. So I come with about 30 years of corporate experience. I'm a chartered accountant, management accountant, completed my executive education from Harvard Business School, and recently completed my research as well on high performance leadership. And that's exactly why I thought, we should speak about it. And apart from that, I'm a credentialed coach from International Coaching Federation. And I work with corporate leaders and teams on maximizing their potential, performance, and profitability, either as a coach or as an author, as a speaker, whatever the case may be. But my objective is to see how I can contribute to the gains for people. And that's what I do. So that's why I call myself the gain enabler.
Thank you. That's a lot too. I think a big role that you are taking in terms of a CFO to a leader, a business leader, right? So it takes a lot. It's a big journey, I think, right? So let's dive
Yeah.
into the topic where we are talking about high performance blueprint, right? So the high performance
Yes.
blueprint, why clarity, consistency, and energy matters more than hustle in a high performance strategy role. Your
Okay.
take on it,
That's a
Sangeeta.
great question. Yeah, that's a great question. So let me start off with a little example. And I would like you to
Mhm.
imagine your favorite leader standing on the dais and giving you a powerful speech. Now, how would that make you feel? It probably you find it very influential. It makes you feel inspired, and it's probably igniting that spark in you, right? So that is the speciality when the leader is on the dais. Now, dais to me is a metaphor, right? Now, metaphorically, if you were to look, the leader standing on the dais, may not be physically there, but the leader is there guiding and leading everybody, right? So dais is the high performance leadership model. And like I said, I've just completed my research on it. So what does dais stand for? It stands for the leadership drive. The D is the drive aspect. As a leader, what is the kind of drive? A is your analytics, the leadership analytics. What are those numbers and the analyticals telling you? I is the impact, the leadership impact that you would like to create. And S is the skills, the leadership skills that will enable you to achieve what you want to do. And therefore, this is my high performance blueprint, because having the drive helps you to grow yourself as well as the business. And thereby, by understanding your business analytics, you can take those right business decisions. And what does it happen then? It creates the financial impact as well as the impact on your people. And how do you do it is through your leadership skills. So this is the high performance blueprint. Now, to achieve this, you need clarity, because clarity is what will lead you to your consistency. And for you to be consistent in what you do, you need that energy. And therefore, like you exactly said, the clarity, consistency, and the energy becomes something very important for you to be successful as a high performance leader.
That was a powerful powerful answer that I got to hear, and with a high impact. That's where we are talking about when we talk about high performance strategies, right? Now, coming to the next point, that I want, the productive framework. What is that you see? Systems, willpower. How do we look at that point and swear by it, Sangeeta?
Okay, let me share a small real life story that happened.
Okay.
In one organization, one of the persons who was handling the tax of the organization had by chance missed one of the tax deadlines, right?
Okay.
And it
Mhm.
was a huge amount. And a couple of months later, the tax department called on the organization and said, "Hey, you have not paid this, and therefore we are going to levy this huge penalty on you." Now, the
Mm.
person handling the tax got so shaken up by it, because the person was wondering, how did I even miss this? And thought that the person would lose the job, and actually went to the leader and then said, "I'm so sorry, I have missed this, and I take the ownership and responsibility for this mix and for this miss, and therefore I'm putting in my papers."
Okay.
But guess what that leader said? The leader did not blame the individual, because this is the leader. They said, it is not, the process is not automated, and it's only human to make these errors, which I thought was a great gesture by the leader. And therefore they brought in systems, simple things like checklists and a lot of system automation, and thereby set it right instead of just firing the person. The leader was very, very empathetic and understanding, and said no, just told the resignation and said, "No, you will stay on, but ensure all the processes are automated," right? So that is where it becomes very important for your systems to be intact. And we are all human. Humans can easily make these errors, and therefore having the systems, the right systems and the automation in place, will definitely enable and enhance the productivity.
No, I think one pointer where I think I don't recall the name of the organization, but there was an experiment done and that experiment failed. Okay. And this is the
Okay.
same resignation situation where the leader said, this experiment failed and I am going to resign. Right. So uh, then, uh, then they were called up and they said, the experiment failed, but what did you learn out of it? Can we list out
Wow.
some of the pointers where you failed? Let's rework. And
Right.
same way he tore the resignation and he threw it and said, "Boss, I've invested lakhs of money on this research and you headed the research, right? One mistake is okay. And we'll have to look at, I don't want to do a costly mistake of taking all the intellectual knowledge that is there between these 2 years, which is your brain, which cannot be replicated or taken as a backup, right? So you have to look
Right.
at that kind of a piece, and they said, let's do redo it. And I think that's one of the biggest products that organization had created in their entire gamut of journey, right? Or the business journey. I think what you said is very important. If we don't have the right systems in place, there could be a lot of things, and it is not going to be dependent on somebody, right? In that case, the system will automatically do that kind of a work that has to be looked at. The If there is a process that has to be set in terms of, this is the process, this is an approval, this is what is to be set, and that process goes seamless. Is that what we are talking about, Sangeeta?
Absolutely, absolutely. When
And there
the
was
flow
a
becomes automatic. Yeah,
And there was a case with Abdul Kalam also, right? The satellite launch
yes,
failed, and
correct,
his boss said, "I'll
yes,
go stand in the press and I'll take the blame." And when they had
okay,
the
yes,
rocket launch or the satellite uh, going successful, now it is your turn. You
true,
go and tell about how what happened, right? So those are few examples I think high
correct,
performance leaders can give us, is what I
absolutely,
feel. Now, coming to one of the pointer that I want to understand, now we are talking about this burnout, breakout, and all those stuffs, right? Now, break to
right,
burnout cycle, sustainability, intensity versus toxic overwork. What is the difference,
right.
Sangeeta?
That's a fantastic question, Prem, because while one is positive, the other is
Yeah,
not so positive, is what I would say. Because you see, sustainable intensity is what leads you to high performance, right? Because in sustainable intensity, you're doing it with a lot of purpose, balance, and endurance. Whereas in a toxic workplace, there's too much pressure, there's ego involved, there's fear, insecurity, and stuff like that. Another way to measure it is your sustainable intensities actually fuels your energy. You're all charged and geared, and you're like, yes, I want to do this. Whereas in the toxic culture, it actually depletes your energy. You're like, oh my God, I have to do this today. That's the feeling one gets. And of course, the sustainable intensity is driven towards your long term excellence. Whereas, like you said, in the toxic workplace, it's all burnout, breakdown, and probably there's a lot of bitterness feeling as well amongst the people involved. So, therefore, definitely, it's the sustainable intensity is the positive one, and that's what leaders need to be working towards.
I think what you're saying is there is a lot of difference when we look at toxic versus sustainability, right? So toxic can kill an environment and even bring out people who are doing good to say that it's enough, so I just want to move out, kind of stuff. Whereas when we look at sustainability, look at, yeah, there could be a discussion or a pointer where we see the possibilities of making it better than quitting it, right? And that process is what I think what you're saying now. Today's day is more about data pointers, right? You
Yeah,
need data for everything. Now you want to predict
absolutely.
the number of people joining a podcast, then you need data. Then you need people who have to get something today. What is the kind of traffic that is going to be? You look at data and then predict. So everything
Absolutely.
is data driven habits now.
Yes,
Using
yes,
metrics and feedbacks to
right.
loops to 10 performance. What is your take on it, Sangeeta?
Yes, yes. Like you absolutely said, I say it's all data driven decision making
Yeah.
because data is the base, and the leader needs to know the data for him or her to actually make the right business decisions, both personally as well as professionally for the organization. Now,
One pointer, Sangeeta.
yeah,
There was one pointer when I just wanted to add that because you are talking about data. There is a very important point that is coming up nowadays is data is the new oil, right?
right.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to bring that because we're talking on
Sure.
this topic. Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead, Sangeeta.
yes, yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and that actually leads me to even say, like, there are no free lunches. So it's the data. All these social media is actually, while it's free, in turn, what they're collecting is the data, and like
Yeah.
you exactly said, data. So yes. So now coming back to your question, as a leader, I think it's firstly very important to identify the key metrics both for your industry, whichever industry you're in, as well as the metrics that are specific to your business, right? So, and as a leader, don't get carried away by all the metrics. Choose specific ones, no more than 5 key metrics. Like, for example, it can be your net promoter score, your cash runway, whatever else that makes sense for your business and that are key drivers for your business. So take actions based on these key metrics. Don't get carried away by fancy dashboards and covering many different aspects, but look at it from a specific perspective. Those key metrics that will actually help you to take these right decisions. Now, the metric, the non-financial metrics also that leaders can track can include things like leadership trust. What is the trust quotient? What is the vision alignment? Or what is the quick course action that one needs to do? And apart from that, set OKRs, your objectives and key results. I'm also an OKR coach, so I have to talk about OKRs. Setting those right OKRs will actually know how you're progressing, and that's what makes it important. And to top it up, have the feedback loops. The feedback can be like a 360 feedback, right, amongst these peers, and then maybe even a skip level interviews, shadow your CEO or lunch with CEO, right, with specific team members or specific people. Those actually provide a lot of insights, and that informal discussion, or these looking at these data, will actually enable the leader to see what else can be done in a better manner, so that our performance is able to soar.
I think one pointer that you made it was offline discussions, right? These offline discussions, this is my experience, and I would
Yeah,
like to share that because
sure.
uh, I've been working as a program manager for technology side projects, right? So, and most of the time I've seen people don't talk on the challenges the projects face. But when you take them for a coffee or a small walk or somewhere, you'll get to the actual project status, which you will not get in a conference room, right?
Absolutely.
So this is my experience where I've
Yes.
seen, and in my experience there, I used to take them the team. I had about 400 odd people reporting to me in one of the largest organizations. We were a service based company,
Right.
and I used to handle the markets of India, Middle East, Africa, and we had predominantly large customers, government and private, right? So we were doing infrastructure projects, IT infrastructure, and some of the integration, system integration projects. So major of the banks that we did is, you can name the bank anywhere in India. So we've done some or the other system integration work for them. Now, most of the time, the challenges were not at all coming out, right? And the team used to say, I did this, sir, I didn't. So we used to have one outing sort of a thing that used to be taken every 6 months. We had a plan, a proposed thing that the organization had put. You can take your team for either lunch or a out of offsite kind of a thing. So my intention was very clear. I used to take them at least two sessions. I strictly followed that in the 14 years that I stayed in that organization. And every time I had different set of team members, right? So one project has a different set of team members. The other project had a different. Now the insights first, we will never say we will not talk projects at all. We will say we will not talk projects. But what will happen is eventually, because all are out of the project pointer, and they say is that this is the time when they sit at a bonfire or have a drink with, and then you start talking about, sir, this is a challenge I'm facing here, this is where I am struck, can you help me? Then I'll say, boss, this is the guy sitting next to you, that guy is a guy who is into storage, this guy is into compute, this guy is into replication, this guy is into backup, this guy is an expert in database, this guy. So you people are not talking to each other. So that is a bigger challenge that I feel. Then it
True.
so turned out I was part of all the escalated projects, and we
In
used to
fact,
go and talk only in these kind of meetings where you used to get solutions, and we used to crack them out, and the
correct.
leader starting asking you, what is that you're doing? So
Yes,
that's my experience.
what you're saying resonates so much with me, and that's why you see me smiling. Because just a couple of weeks ago, I was coaching a technology leader who's like brilliant when it comes to his work, but then managing the team.
Hmm.
Exactly what you said. Like he was just so overwhelmed and bogged down by these different challenges the team was facing. And this is exactly what I said. I said, do you bond with your team? Even just a cup of coffee
Okay.
or lunch, make it periodic. And that gave him results, So he was so happy. And exactly like what you said, he said, this has opened up so many more dimensions and making my life a lot more easier and, easy to resolve conflicts and The productivity was a lot better, and all those other unnecessary things were just getting burned down. So I like so resonate with what you say. Yeah, good.
Now we are talking about high performance again here, right?
Yeah,
And we are talking is how we are struck at a place and then go into a soaring spot. How do
right,
the spot of how to spot rest and accelerate when you are at a plateau? So that's
right,
that's
right.
that's where I wanted your pointers to be
Okay,
given.
okay. So that's relatively simple, I would say, because if you're stuck and you want to soar, what should you do? You need to act on it, right? So
Mhm.
act is an acronym that I want to share. A, standing for firstly acknowledge. Yes, I am stuck, because I've seen as a coach many people are fail to acknowledge that, like, they are struggling, but then they are like feel and think they are actually progressing, but that's not the case. So firstly, acknowledge the fact that yes, you are stuck. So C is to create that mindset shift to soar, right? Because you're stuck, but you want to soar. You're probably at this level right now, and then you want to get to that level, right? So create that mindset shift. Know that yes, that's where I want to get. And T is to turn your insights into income, right?
Mhm.
Because when you already have these insights, and when you know that you want to progress, understanding the why do you want to soar, why do you want to achieve what you want to do, and why are you doing what you're doing, is probably all translating to your moolah, right? End of the day, be it your business or your professional career growth, it all has to translate to a metric, which is the financial aspect of it, right? So turn your insights into income. And once you start thinking this and using this ACT framework, I think a lot of shift and possibilities will start to emerge.
No, I think you said most of the time we don't acknowledge in the fear that we will get affected. And what in the corporate world that I've seen is that once you acknowledge or say I am wrong, it becomes a pointer where you are referred for next mistake, right? So
No, I meant, okay, let me clarify. I meant acknowledge to yourself. You don't have to go and announce to the whole world I'm stuck. But acknowledge to your own self that, yeah, I
Mm,
mean, this is a current challenge that I'm facing, to yourself in your mind. Because I believe in a lot of these the self talk that you're doing, the inner self talk.
yeah.
So your self talk, is it actually empowering you, or pulling you down and making you stuck further, right? So
Yeah.
that's something you need to be careful. So once you know that yes, I'm stuck, but hey, I want to soar. So once you know that, and give your the self talk that you do, motivate yourself and feeding it all positive stuff, then you create that mindset shift that yes, I'm ready to soar.
I'll take another example here, Sangeeta. While we were talking in one of the discussions, so I was asking one of the team members saying that now you want to achieve this. There is something that is there, and for that you need one, two, three, right?
Yeah.
And my boss's formula was very simple, 3 point formula. Now you want to have something achieved. There are three things that will fall into place. One is cost, one is effort, and what is time. Three things.
Yes.
Simple. So now I'll say you need 10 lakhs, right? 10 lakhs per month, 3 months.
Mm,
What is the time that you need this money?
right.
How many resources? What is the basis of this 10 lakhs, right? Cost is
Mm,
come. Basis of this one is requirement, resources, tools or something. So which is going to cost, right? That's then the duration that you need for this. So you tell me for 3 months, this is the resources and this is what it is going to cost, right? So I got the three factors. Now you tell me, will you give me this outcome?
uh,
Outcome
yes.
is you wanted an outcome, right? Now, if you are able to satisfy these three parameters, then you should have the outcome. You still say no, after that also there is a problem, then there is a problem. Seriously, now I should not think about it, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
he used to tell that, and then he said, Baat karo. Talk, guys, talk.
Right.
You
Right.
don't talk. The problem is you fear that there is something else coming in the middle which can be a blocker. List those blockers. Listing those blockers is a positive sign because you know whether you'll get struck or not. Now, what you don't know, you still don't know only, right? So now to achieve that, you can say with this resource, I will achieve 30%. What is needed for 70% to be achieved more? So there is something. So do a breakdown structure, work breakdown structure in that fashion. Add every element to a cost, effort, and time. So these three things are catered, then you get your outcomes. So what you rightly said was people don't ask, first
Absolutely.
point, and their fear of rejection is still there,
Big
right?
time.
So
Big time.
and that fear, I have Louis Hayes book which says feel the fear and do it anyway, right? So yeah, you have to feel it. If you have to get rid of it, you have to feel it and do it anyway, because it may fail or it may not come, but the outcome is there that you tried, right? And that's where I think, now what does high performance actually look in a day to day for you, Sangeeta?
Okay, okay, that's a lovely question. So for me, I have a key yardstick. That is, within the given resources and the constraints, do I personally feel good about what I have done? Have I given it my best? Right? Have I put in my 100% subject to these? Because high performance can vary. Like I said, there could be so many other constraints that are pulling you down. But within the given constraints and the resources that you have you given your best? Then how how do I feel about the work that I'm doing or the work that I've done? Does it make me feel good? Do I feel yes? I feel really charged and energized about it. That's great. But in case I don't feel that way, but it's something a bit of a struggle for me. Let's assume. But then, is it contributing the others? Is it helping somebody out there? What I've done, because we all are humans. We like to do certain things. It comes with a lot of affinity, but there are certain things that we don't like as well, right? Or it could be something that from a compliance perspective, like many people don't like computing their income tax or filing their income tax. They just keep procrastinating it because they just find it so cumbersome. But that's a compliance that you have to do, right? And similarly, for example, there could be somebody who has to write a report to his or her boss about maybe a trip or a project or whatever. They probably don't have the flair to write and they're not interested in writing, but you have to push yourself to do it because it is contributing to the larger good of the team, the organization, whatever that may be. So those are my yardsticks. Like, does it helping me? Does it make me feel good? Or is it helping for a larger cause? So you can have your own yardsticks. I'm just sharing what has worked well for me.
You're absolutely on dot, saying that you should have a yardstick which drives you itself first, right? So I think that's a very valid point, and that gives a way to take the day ahead, right? So and
True.
that's very important. Now,
Yeah.
what is that mind shift helped you from average effort to an elite output? Is there
Okay.
anything that we can look at? Because most of the people don't start, they think they are not at all fit. We are talking about an average to an elite. So your input on
Okay.
it.
Okay. So, when I reflect, on my past, like I think there were like these three things that probably has helped me,
Hmm.
and I'm happy to share that. One is, as a leader, are you leveraging on the power of team effectiveness and business partnering? Because, like you may know, in corporates, there are many people working in silos, or
Hmm.
the department head, one department head is not communicating to the others, or even within the same team, people have their egos. This is my job. I will not share my work because of job insecurity, those fears, those doubts, and stuff like that. But the power comes when there's team effectiveness and business partnering. And this is something that I coach leaders on, especially on doing my group workshops, group coaching and workshops that I do. I tell them the importance of this, and that's when it becomes like an aha moment for many of them, because they realize there's so much power in the collaboration, right? Leveraging on each other's strengths, because however good a single person can be, the strength of the rest of the people cumulative is much much larger than one single person, and that's why team effectiveness and business partnering becomes very important. The second thing I would like to say is, by observing, having discussions and learning from your peers, right? Because just by observing, you're actually learning so much. Having those right discussions, those conversations with the people in your team, in your organization, and learning from peers can definitely open up a lot of things. Just to give you a small example, like I said, I'm a speaker. Once I heard a very good speaker who was speaking many things. And for me, of course, apart from the content, there were two major takeaways for me. One, how not to, right?
Hmm.
Because there was some thing that he didn't do well as a speaker, and to me that was like, yeah, I shouldn't be repeating the same mistake. And the second thing was the way he was encouraging the audience was something very nice, and I said, okay, that's something I must learn, right? That was something really good. So these two things stood out for me. So basically, just keep your eyes and ears open, look around, and there's just a wealth of knowledge, right? And the third thing I'd like to say is analyzing criticism. Many people, I think most humans don't like to get criticized, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm no exception as well. Let me be honest out there.
Yeah.
But I like to analyze the criticism. If there's some sort of criticism, I ask myself two questions. Does the criticism, is it genuine, or because, or is it just a different perspective? So get that clarity to yourself, and then if you think it's genuine, is it going to help my growth and improvement, right? So is this really right? By incorporating this change, is it going to help me better to grow, or help my clients, whatever that case may be? So analyze your criticism, and then take and absorb and implement whatever is right for you. You don't have to just because somebody said something, you don't have to start incorporating all those changes, because you are the best judge. You would know what is right, what is wrong. So hear people out, and then you just select what is applicable the best, that is going to help your growth further. So I think uh, these three things have really helped me to grow and evolve, and this is something that I share with my clients as well.
Now, I'll again take a reference here. Uh, Most of the times, when a project fails, right,
Mm,
or we have not done a project in a right manner and we incur more than what we have budgeted, that's the time when you get criticized, right? So taking very plain straight there.
right.
Now, most of the cases what I've seen is it's the communication that is missing, right? And
Absolutely.
the understanding of, there was one project which is kind of a research project, and it's one of the nuclear facilities that I worked. So there they had a project which was there. They cannot have an offsite. So one site is secure for them, but for us on IT, I cannot have the disaster recovery site on the same floor, because if it goes off everything, the whole building goes. I even lose the disaster recovery site, right? So the contention was that you need to deploy a project which is inside the premises but in a different building, right? Because that's a nuclear facility. Our people didn't even understand the whole structure. They started looking at this cannot be done. Okay. Now customer said, this is how I can do, I cannot create another site for me. This I think went for 3 4 months, and then I was called in and I went into discussion. Then I asked her, what is the objective that you are looking at? As per compliance, I agree it cannot be. If you really look at, you lose the whole building. Now can you give me in writing saying that I cannot create a secondary site out of the building, because of the nature of the project, nature of the business that we do, and it cannot be out of this compound. It is a secure compound, right? So you cannot be having it. So I said, okay, can I place this 10 buildings away? or maybe something there. Yeah, that is already existing like that. So can you give it to me in writing? And he said, yes. So I'll do a failover test saying that from today you will be working on the DR side and I'll test it and show it to you. He said, okay. Then we took everything, whatever we discussed, we listed out and we gave that document. Both agreed this project will start. The timeline is dependent on some of the challenges because there are some tools that we have to purchase based on that. So luckily, because it was a government facility, they brought everything and we got it. We finished the DR and everything. It took February 19, 2016 to March
One month.
17th, 2020, 1 month. I have the seals of entry and exit in my this one. So then I asked, sir, are you okay now? He said only one thing, Prem, everybody knew I cannot have another facility, right? I knew, neither I asked the question, neither your people asked the question saying that, can you give it to me, saying that is an accepted risk for me, and we go on. This project could have been closed a year back. Small communication, right?
True, true.
Small communication gap, and definitely when we saw that, the customer is still in touch with me. It's been 10 years now. I send him a good morning message in the morning. He replies, good morning, Prem, how are you? So that is a daily activity that is happening. So what I'm trying
Nice.
to say is that communication is one fear that we face if what I get criticized, right? And if I'm getting criticized, will it be good? And my boss used to tell, कोई गलत कह रहा है तो there is a viewpoint for that guy. Understand his viewpoint rather than disagreeing with him. It can be a growth sign for you. So I always used to say, what is your take? This is my
Mm,
view. What is your
mm,
view? From that day, whenever I speak, also I ask, can I share a problem? I will ask before me talking because I don't know the context is matching or not. My context is right. Maybe
yes,
it is not the
yes.
context that you want to talk, right? So that's the point that I wanted. It's a lengthy explanation. Sorry for that. Uh, can we walk through some of the personal productive systems or rituals you govern or swear by it, saying this
Okay.
is what is Sangeeta, right?
Okay. So I have been into art of living for the last 20 years.
Wow.
Simple breathing exercises and Sudarshan Kriya followed by meditation. And I think that has been a huge game changer for me because, especially when you're stressed and, there's a lot happening, you feel overwhelmed and not sure how to really handle
Wow.
something. I think that really, really has helped me. Stay grounded, help me stay calm when I'm stressed, and has really helped me in a lot of different ways, both personally and professionally. So I think I would definitely give it to that. And meditation is so, so powerful, and there are lots available on YouTube as well, Art of Living Meditations. If you look at it, it's to me, like I said, it has been very, very effective and powerful.
No, I think one pointer I'll take it from in this podcast is that I used to run. I used to do walk on Lal Bagh every day in Bangalore, right? So
Right?
I used to walk about 5 to 6 kilometers, which
Uh-huh.
last 6 months we have stopped. I'll start from tomorrow. So I'll take your point.
Yeah, that could be meditative as well.
Yeah, right. Because when I used to go to Lalbagh for walk, the 45 minutes of that 5 kilometers, you will never know. The first thing was that.
Right?
Second, the day was very good. I think the energy of fresh air in
Oh,
a
yes.
Lalbagh kind of an environment gives you a lot
True.
of thing. I think I'll take that point, Sangeeta. Thank you for that.
Good.
I'll do it from tomorrow. What is one common myth about growth or performance that needs to die? Because I am going to kill an habit tomorrow. So,
Okay, so what I would say is uh, whatever may be your success metric for your growth or your performance, right? End of the day, I think it all depends on how do you feel about it versus the other aspects of life. Because you see, life is just one. And
yeah,
if you're just looking at it from a work perspective or your career growth and you're ignoring other things, you are not 100%. You may be successful in one area but not in others, and it doesn't help. So simple
Yeah.
example, your career is growing, your income is growing, you feel great on top of the world, but what's happening to your health,
Yeah.
right? You may be most successful there, but then if you're not paying attention to your health, I don't think it's a great win in the long run, right? So therefore, look at it from a holistic perspective. Right? So
No,
that's
I
what I
think
think I would
no, I think you're
share.
making a lot of sense for me at least. Okay, it's been a long time that I've stopped all these things. I'll start, but what
Okay.
I feel is, or we all know that there's a law, very old saying, "Health is wealth," right? So there's nothing important. And I was looking at one of the article that was read is there was 1,000 put there, and first one was called
Yeah.
health, the second zero was called money, and then fame and something else. Now you remove the first
One.
one, right, which is your health, then all, it does not matter because the number is zero, right? You don't have a denomination to be put across. It is zero
Correct.
only. So there's nothing that is going to be better when you keep your health good. So you
Absolutely.
focus on health is what.
Absolutely.
So I
Yes.
think that's a very, very strong. Thank you. I will start tomorrow for sure.
Nice, nice to hear that. Yeah.
I'll go by the
Yeah.
OKR lady
Yeah.
who says,
Super.
I'll do that. How
Right.
do you personally deal with performance slumps, right? So you have that, or nowadays it is called burnouts, right? So
Yeah.
burnout
Yeah.
signs,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
your take
So,
on it?
yeah, like I said, for me, it's a lot of meditation on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
But apart from that, I think I love walking too. I used to be a runner, but I prefer walking these days, more of walking. So I like to reflect on my thoughts and my the solutions that I want. So walking really helps, and I also an avid traveler. So vacation and breaks, I think, really helps to recharge myself.
I think again that is, I do travel.
Okay, nice.
I'm also an avid traveler, but
Okay,
uh, most of our travels have been well planned and stuff, and in a year we take about 3 to 4 vacations for sure. So
lovely.
that we take, maybe it could be a 1 day or a 3 day kind of a vacation, but
Right.
the only pointer that I'm missing is your walk. What I'll do is, it's a commitment online saying that
Wow.
I will keep you informed on my daily walks status. Okay.
Awesome.
You are going to be my
Accountability partner.
accountability partner. So don't
Sure.
take it otherwise. I'll send you a message that I did walking today.
Okay.
What do you consider as a high, consider a model for high performance, and what is that it sets apart, right? So your take on it, Sangeeta.
Okay, okay. The model, like I said, is the dais, which we spoke about at the start of it. And I think what sets high performers apart is like some of the high performance traits. It can be like being very purpose oriented,
Hmm.
the way they connect with the teams and the other people, and also how like they can be a lot
Hmm.
adaptable
Hmm.
with the uncertainty, with the changing times, with challenges, and as the situation demands and warrants. So I think that ability to adapt themselves is a very key important high performance trait. I think, yeah, that's what I would want to share.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've seen in my career, saying that. And the see, in South India, I will take one point. We South Indians speak at least 3 to 4 languages,
Oh yes, yeah,
right? So
yeah,
that's an advantage for us in many cases. I'll take my example. I can speak about 5 languages. Telugu is
wow,
my mother tongue. Tamil
okay,
is by born and brought up because I am from Kolar Goldfields. It has to come, right? Kannada I've studied. Hindi is
right,
the other language that I have as a third language, and English is by
good,
default, right? So
yeah,
which is 5 languages. I can understand Malayalam and understand to an extent Punjabi and Oriya also. So understand. I cannot talk back,
right,
but
right,
I
right,
can
right.
understand. That's
Nice.
been a boon for me in many of the projects. Now I used to go and do many government projects in Kerala. I know Malayalam. When I speak to them or put 1 or 2 pointers of a Malayali slang in that, this one, the whole discussion changes, right? I went
Sure.
to Middle East where I thought I should learn Arabic and stuff like that. And when I went, I found the entire team either were from Kerala or from Tamil Nadu. right? So both languages are known for us. So we started talking. Then the customer was a Chennai guy. So we spoke to him on Tamil, and they became very. You will not believe, most of my projects are done based on these language barriers. So you talk to them, and they feel comfortable because they
Absolutely.
speak that nativity, right?
Yes.
And that gives a lot of confidence in you as a person, and then you start driving it. That's what I felt was very important, and that that is one kind of a performance that we can look at for doing projects. Now, what
Yes.
role does self awareness play in leveling up professionally? Is there something that you can add, Sangeeta?
Yeah, I mean, I think self awareness is the foundation, because without awareness, you cannot grow, right?
Hmm.
And you probably, without the awareness, you probably don't know at what level you're performing currently. So, only if you know that, and then can you take a call, yes, my performance is good, it's great, it can be better, whatever that may be. So, you need to have that level of awareness to where you are right now and where do you want to be. So awareness is the foundation, is what I would say.
The foundation starts with awareness, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll take one point here. Power of knowing
Mm.
was started where we thought about there are so many things that are we know, but whom to talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's
Mm.
the person to the name to the person is what we wanted to map. Now, if
Correct,
I am telling Sangeeta is a performance coach, I should put a name to the face, right? So then I would be what is the journey that we started with power of knowing is now everybody will tell it's not power of knowing, it is power of knowledge. I will say it is power of knowing first, because I have to know to whom I have to speak or whom I have to connect. That's where when we started the coining of power of knowing came in, is like that. In say that I should know first to do something. I should know a person to talk
correct,
by name or by a photograph. Seeing it, this is the person I'm going to talk, so I know what that person is doing, or what is she, how does she look, what is that I need to understand, then I can talk to you. Okay,
correct.
that's where I think power of knowing started. We had ChatGPT, we had Google. When we search, you get hundreds of articles, but we don't know which to follow and whom to talk. The major challenge was that when we started Power of Nine, then we said, why don't I bring in certain leaders who know what they're talking, who know what is their experience, and who knows what exactly they want to give it back as well, right? Now, a leader has a journey of 20, 30 years, right? And he's not just come in and sat in a chair where the chair was vacant. That does not happen on a regular basis. So, and that is the intention where we brought leaders like you, coaches like you, to talk about your experiences and share your thoughts in, because that one trigger is what is needed to change a person's life, right? So that trigger is what we wanted to see part of our podcast. That's where, thanks to all the speakers who have been in our 264 episodes as on today, including you, you are the 264th. We have about 140 plus speakers who can be looked at, and you have a huge number of people who are coaches in various fields. You have a health coach, you have a productivity coach, you have a proactive coach, you have team mentoring coaches, then you have business coaches, CIOs, CTOs. All these people have come and spoken about their journey. So that's how I think when we talk about the self awareness part, I just wanted to keep it to say that power of knowing is one such form where we want to know what we are doing, and leaders like you help us being part of these sessions, and it's been a great journey so far, Sangeeta. And
Amazing, amazing.
uh,
I admire this consistency of reaching out to people and having these shows periodically. I think that's really amazing, and yeah, kudos to you and the team. Yeah,
thank you. One last question for this one to conclude is, what advice would you give to who a person who's stuck in the busy but not growing in that, but it's a trap for him? So what is
right.
your advice on that, Sangeeta?
So I think the first thing is what I would tell them is check if you're busy or are you really being productive.
Hmm.
There's a difference between the two. So check that firstly, and how are your actions actually contributing to growth, to your growth, to the business growth, to the team's growth, whatever that may be. But how is it contributing to growth? So that, that clarity, if you start getting, you
Hmm.
will know that you're just being busy for the sake of being busy or if you're actually being productive. And when you're productive, that's when your performance starts to peak and enables growth for you as well as your team and your organization. So that is the message I'd like to leave our audience with.
Yeah, great about that, Sangeeta. Now, I would like to summarize that. That is a very valid point because most of the time people think being busy is productive, right? So it is not actually. You're right on. I'll just summarize on what we spoke about. We spoke about the blueprint of what is a high performance when we talked about why clarity is important, why consistency is important, and what is the energy that is needed that matters for an hustle to happen, right? So that's the first point that we spoke about. Then we spoke about the identity shift that is there, which is think, act, decide how a leader has to grow in the organization or in his life. We spoke about burnout cycle, break to burnout cycle we spoke about, where we spoke about sustainability, intensity versus toxic environment, and what is the difference actually on that. Then we spoke about some of the data driven pointers where your Google has a data for maps, your other statistics, weather statistics, and all these things need data to predict some of the things. So those are the data pointers that we spoke about. We spoke important point where we are struck, and then how do you soar, right? And that's one point that we spoke. Then we looked at day-to-day activities of a high performance person, and you gave us a hint on take a yardstick and see how it is to be measured and stuff like that. And one we spoke about elite mind shift from an average effort to a elite output is what we spoke about. Then we walked through about personal productive systems versus ritually swearing by them. So that's a accountability partner I choose you to go on walk from tomorrow. So that's the point that I wanted to take. Then we spoke about some of the myths of growth and performance that needs to die at the moment, right? And start looking at. And when we also looked at what is the high performance considered and what is it sets apart is what we spoke about. Then there was a big discussion that we had, a lengthy discussion about on self-awareness, what is to be known, how it is to be known. First step is knowing, and that's how we as power of knowing started out and stuff that way. And finally, with your great advice, look at whether it is giving you results or you are just busy not showing results. At times I would add to what Sangeeta said is at times you may not get the results, but don't leave it out. Keep that momentum
That's it.
going. See why it is not coming as a result. So that's what Sangeeta meant to say, is not that you may be busy solving a problem, but you will not get the results because that may take multiple iterations to happen, and there could be some pointers that need to be fixed so that it becomes successful, right? So example is a product build. So if you have to build a product, you'll have to test multiple things and then the product is coming out. Whatever you are doing is not unsuccessful, it is just a way that you are going to reach the product stage. So that's what Sangeeta meant. Correct me if I am wrong, Sangeeta.
Yes, yes,
That's what.
absolutely. Yeah.
With this I think we are done for the day, and
Good,
you let.
good, good way to summarize whatever we discussed. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And any final pointers that you want to add, Sangeeta, to before
Uh,
we wrap
I
up?
I think people just need to see how can I get to my next version, right?
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
next level. How can I, like you said, not feel stuck and stagnant, and instead to see how they can soar and grow is what I would like to leave them. And I would like to wish our audience the very best of their high performance journey.
Great. Now, with that, we've been doing streaming this on to LinkedIn, YouTube to the audience. We have done it to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and at times Twitter and Insta based on the restrictions that we have. Hope we had the discussion, found the discussion very important and valuable for you. And thank you for joining. And our next episode is that we are talking on the 23rd is on leading the soul, how spirituality shapes high impact leadership decisions is what we are having. To have this discussed, we have Sandeep Gupta, who is the chairperson for Delhi chapter of Professional Speakers Association of India. So he's joining us and is talking about this topic. Looking forward to see you. Thank you, Sangeeta. Good day
Thank you.
and
Thank
bye
you
for
so
now.
much.
And
All right. See you. Bye bye.
bye. Yeah.